What dead body are we going to find, or what are we going to learn from Pierce? Where's the headmaster going to be? He's the only murderer we haven't run into yet. Are you ready? Yeah. At least I hope so. If it becomes too much for you, don't hesitate to leave. So again, this could be a setup. We don't know for sure that Pierce knows anything, but we're also kind of setting him up too, so how's this going to play? I only need a few moments to look into his mind. No, I'm the one who asked you to do this, and I'm not going to leave you alone with him. All right, if that's what you want. Tyrion? Oh, we're going to have a touching moment. Someone's about to get murdered. Yeah? Thank you for doing this. It really means a lot to me. Of course, this will finally give you the answers you've been looking for, will it now? It's not just that. You've done so much for me since I met you. Oh yeah, touching scene. We're getting set up. This place is going to be so full of blood, we're not going to be able to see the floor. It's not just that. You've done so much for me since I met you. You got me acquitted. You helped me through my grief for my dad. It feels like I can never repay that. What are you talking about? For the past few months, all I've been doing is relying on you. I genuinely don't know what I'd do if you weren't a part of my life. You should tell him what? What should you tell me? Your thoughts are leaking. What should you tell me? Tell me what? Yeah, we're just up front now. It's like, I see your thoughts, woman. Get out of my head! You're really bad at guarding your mind. You know you can tell me anything, right? Wait, what are you doing here? What are you doing here, and why are you making that expression? Is Oster here? I'm scared now. Arya? Arya? How long have you been standing there? Well, I knew you'd be here around this time. Why are you flustered? Where's Oster? I wanted to wish you luck. Bullcrap. Whose illusion is this? But then you two seem to be in the middle of something. I didn't want to interrupt. Why are you here? I don't trust. Yep. Don't stop on my account. Cast Detect Magic. Do it. Celeste, do this. This thing.
Arcanum.
You need to do that now. Don't stop on my account. I'll just get out of your way. As she awkwardly skitters away, we see something fall out of her pocket. Oh, Arya, you dropped your runestone. As she picks up the runestone, she accidentally activates it. Whoops. An image of a piece of evidence appears for a brief moment, but she quickly hides it. What? What was the evidence? But not before Celeste sneaks a peek at it. Oh, I see. Celeste, don't just invade her privacy like that. Don't be like that. I'm really happy for you. Does Celeste actually know now that it's a wedding? Arya is an imposter. She could be. She's sussy. She's among us. Yeah. We need to remember all the things that are happening because they're sure to come up later. Don't be like that. I'm really happy for you. Thank you. Good luck. A part of us really wants to know what she saw, but one of us has to exercise some self-restraint. It could actually have been Arya coming here after the wedding, but maybe not. Yeah, what was that all about? Like, that's going to come up later. Anyway, let's go meet with him. Yeah, let's do this. I can tell him after. That's a death flag, my girl. Wow, you're actually alive. I'm genuinely surprised. Oh, you finally arrived. God, why have to have the same voice as that Lloyd asshole? Jesus. I suppose that means you finally decided. Wait, you two? We got your letter. Letter? What letter? Oh, well, there we go. There's the setup. What was his comment? Ah, you finally arrived. I suppose that means you finally decided. Oh, also, this occurred to me last time too. I said before that I was confused when I saw that yellow text come up during the Empowered Eye segments, and I was like, wait a minute, was it yellow before? It was definitely yellow before. I was like, wait a minute, this seems weird. It wasn't weird. I was just misremembering. It was always yellow. Inner thoughts are always yellow. It's always been consistent. So yeah, that was a big dumb on my part. But what about this? You finally arrived. I suppose that means you finally decided, wait, you two? Well, what have we been set up for? You are going to die, aren't you? You are the victim. You sent us a letter, Pierce. It said that you knew who Celeste's parents were. No, you didn't. That wasn't him. I did send that letter, but not to you two. Oh, is that why the bottom half was torn off? I hope you understand I would have never contacted you unless I had no other choice. I know the truth behind McCoy's true parentage, and I'm aware of how vital this information is to you. Oh, I see. My execution, running out, trade information, grant. So it was blackmail. I mean, I said blackmail when it was sent to us, but that doesn't really quite fit the definition of blackmail. But in this context, it absolutely does. He wants someone else to save him, someone else with a higher authority. And if they don't, he's going to reveal information that they would probably prefer he not. So, curious. And of course, the bottom was torn off to remove the context. I did send that letter, but not to you two. What? I don't like this. I don't like it either. Eris, you... And so the final act begins. I've been waiting for this. I'm sure you have. I've been waiting for it too, actually. Ooh, are you gonna get killed? Oh, hey, you know what? No, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to this. This is fine. We don't have to have a trial for this. What the hell are you doing? Have you gone mad? Wait. Oh, so it is Eris disguised as Arya? No! What are you doing? Stop! Get stabbed? Lady Steel? Oh, is she gonna go on a murderous rampage? Is she gonna murder every head of every house? Lady Steelwind, what are you? Is this also the will of the cosmic balance? What the hell is happening? Come on, just tell us the truth, Pierce. Again, Arya the imposter. I mean, how many murders are there gonna be here? You are the last person I would give this information to. He's getting more and more stressed. Just a little more and we'll not be allowed to continue. As we interrogate him, we suddenly hear a loud crash outside the room. What was that? No, that was me. Whoops. What was that? I'm gonna take a look and see what's going on. What? Are you just gonna leave us here? He's right. We don't know what's going on. We should stay together. Don't worry. There were 2 guards outside and they're from the King's Guard and they're probably both dead. You'll be fine. That's not what I'm worried about. But I'll trust your judgment. What? You are a dead man as well. It's been almost 10 minutes since Celeste went to investigate the noise. Pierce seems extremely on edge. He's sitting at one of the tables and impatiently tapping its surface with his finger. So you never intended to send that letter to me. Who did you send it to then? Oh, as if I would ever tell you that! Luckily for us, he should have accumulated enough stress by now. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Even if I wasn't the intended recipient, you said that you knew who Celeste's biological parents are. Who are they? Are you seriously focused on that now? It's far too important. It's my only bargaining chip. Exactly. Answer the question, Pierce. What was that? Somnia. Somnia? Is that like an extra powerful sleep spell? Because we know Eris knows the sleep spell, but the sleep spell is literally just cast sleep. Unless this is the keyword that was not specifically mentioned. What is this? Because Somnia really should be a sleep spell of some kind. A blue luminous vapor enters the room. As soon as it makes contact with us, we suddenly feel extremely fatigued. Damn it! It's a sleep spell! There we go. Somnia. Which is basically a word for sleep. That's why it's called insomnia when you can't sleep, which is a problem we look like we're not about to have. Magical mist. Direction they stretch their palm. 30 feet before disappearing. Blah, blah, blah. Added to our notes. I miscalculated and fell over. No! If they got here, that means... Celeste! We try our hardest to stay conscious, but the spell is too powerful. Pinch yourself! Stab yourself! It said pain! You got the notes! We feel our bodies slowly dropping to the ground. No! Oh! Yep, here we go. Well, Beatrice is just a puppet now. Beatrice? Beatrice's actions. We saw Beatrice Frege as we were losing consciousness. We only saw her for a brief moment, so it could have been an illusion. Regardless, that means that she somehow entered the prayer room at 2:30 p.m. Would we like to save our progress? I'm terrified. Prayer room. Well, there's the body. Someone's dead. And I think I was right about it being Pierce. Because who else? Celeste is going to cast a spell to wake us up, which is preferable to her hitting us and giving us pain. Or just yelling our name, that's fine too. Tyrion! Tyrion! I don't know the reversal spell for sleep, so just wake up. What? What's the body behind you? Well, at least you're not dead. Celeste? Tyrion, I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. I should have never left you alone with him. Oh, we're going to be the suspect, aren't we? Hey, it's okay. No, it's very much not okay. Tears are streaming down her eyes. She was clearly worried about me. We try our best to comfort her as we look around the room. What happened? How long were we knocked out? Yeah! The Inquisition have come and gone. There's already been 2 trials. We've just slept through everything. As we look around, we see several other people with us. Commander White is leading a group of knights. They all have their weapons drawn and pointed at someone. Steelwind? I guess if they were under a Steelwind illusion, then I guess that would make sense. Is Pierce not the only dead person? Did they also kill Sanctus and that Sybil girl? Prosecutor Steelwind? Commander, I understand your position, but there has to be another explanation. Look, Your Majesty, I get where you're coming from. But from what the witnesses have told us, it has to be a case of mage blight. Oh! Yeah, but come on. What's her face? Steelwind. She doesn't cast that much. We look around the room and see a pool of blood at the end of one of the tables. Celeste? Where's Pierce? Tyrion. I don't know how to tell you this, kid, but Garrick Pierce is dead. I'm not going to shed any tears, man. You don't have to beat around the bush with this one. In fact, I'm going to go borrow that party hat from the Pegasus, because I'm going to use it. What? We're honestly surprised that you're okay. But who? We look around at the knights who all have their weapons pointed at the prosecutor. Someone's also trying to break up the marriage with Arya and Oster. Although, also, if that marriage has already happened, then this could be a play on the throne as well. Wait a minute. You think Steelwind did this? Or he's just got this, I can't believe this shit, I'm already so done. It wasn't just Lord Pierce, Mr. Cuthbert. Aha! Who else is dead? At least 3. We also found the bodies of Lord Von Sanctus and Lady Sybil. Wow! Wow! I thought maybe a double murder since it's the last chapter, but a triple murder. Why those 3 in particular? I mean... yeah, it's a weird selection. I guess Arya wouldn't kill her own father, or whoever was posing as Arya wouldn't kill her father. Because that's the only head of house left. Because Sanctus was a head of house, Sybil was a head of house, and William Frege died last chapter. Pierce is just Pierce. He's from a lower house. So, yeah. Triple murder. Welcome to Chapter 5. Not fucking around. Not to mention a bunch of the Kingsguard have gone comatose. Comatose? Yeah, like you. I don't want to believe it, but does she even know sleep? Get the spell compendium. Several people saw Steelwind acting off at the scenes of each of the murders. We also found her unconscious here. And Pierce's body was lying next to her. No, wait, it wasn't her. I saw Beatrice before I passed out. She was the one that knocked us out. Beatrice? What the hell is going on here? Commander White, you need to put me in a holding cell. Oh, wait, What? Is she concerned that she actually does have Mage Blight, or is this still the imposter? It needs to be one with an anti-magic field. What? I'm a danger to everyone here. We need to go now. What are you talking about? Now is not the time. Do it, Commander. Right. Technically prudent, but not correct. We watch as the Inquisition arrests Steelwind and escort her out of the room. How many spells have you been casting that you might think that you would seriously have Mage Blight? I mean, come on. I've seen you cast like 2 spells. Damn it, what happened? I know you have many questions, Mr. Cuthbert, but we should make sure that you're okay. Yeah, there's a necromancer in the nave. They have a point. We have no idea what happened while we were asleep. I'm assuming that's pronounced knave. We follow their suggestion, but not before making a note of the current time. It's 3:12 p.m. 3:12? That's literally the exact same time that Bellwether was killed. No, it was the same time her body was found. No, she was killed like at before 1 o'clock. Well now, you are a character. Well, you've got one of your eyeballs, so you're someone semi-important. This is what doctors look like in this kingdom? God, I'd be terrified to go to the hospital if they all looked like you. Nothing seems to be out of the ordinary, except... What? What's wrong with him? If you would just let me finish... There appears to be a trace of necromancy on you, Mr. Cuthbert. Necromancy? That's probably nothing. Did your assistant cast any spells on you? Oh, right. I used healing magic on him when I found him unconscious. So she knows mend wounds too. Celeste knows like all the spells. I expected as much, but it never hurts to make sure. Anyways, nothing seems out of the ordinary. You're quite healthy. You should be fine to go about your business, but please speak with me again if you experience anything out of the ordinary. Thanks. Oh, well, you're from that house that Wallace is a part of. I guess that makes sense, if you're a necromancy house. I am Lord Lazaric Asclepius of House Asclepius. I have no idea if that's even the way I said it last time, but who cares? Dang it off a screen. And there are no thanks needed. My apprentice apparently owes you a lot. Apprentice being Wallace. Apprentice? You put it together, dude. Wallace Nightgrave. I believe he was one of your clients a few months ago. Oh, right. Steelwind did mention that she introduced you to. Speaking of Steelwind, I really find it hard to believe that she did this. Mr. Cuthbert, Mage Blight isn't exactly a benign condition. When it takes hold of a mage, it doesn't matter what kind of person they are. Violent behavior is almost always a result of the delirium it puts them in. It's unfortunate, but mages have to be held responsible when cases like this happen. It really shows how powerful that Beatrice is, that she not only has the stamina to constantly cast illusion or invisibility on Marinoth, but also that she can constantly cast that and cast whatever the hell she casts and still not contract Mage Blight. She's fine. You know, she's perfectly solid. She doesn't have her soul anymore, which might have something to do with it now, but still, it speaks to how strong she was before. Unless someone is framing her. Tyrion, I fought her. What? You remember back when we heard that weird sound? You fought her? I went outside to see what was going on. I saw her outside, and the guards there were all unconscious. I tried to ask her what was going on, but she didn't say anything. She just attacked me. What was her emotional state like? Well, she was pretty cold and emotionless. I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that we ran into her in the prayer room. It almost looked like she was sleepwalking. That's actually pretty strange. Maybe it was actually Steelwind, but she was being controlled, because we heard from Orium again in Chapter 2 that this was very common in these cases where the mages would go on a tear, but then when they were caught or arrested or whatever, they would seem like they came to their senses and have no memory of what came before. Are we going to find a purple mark somewhere? Because I want to see that purple mark. What do you mean? When someone is affected by Mage Blight, they enter a state of extreme psychosis. Psychotic episodes like that raise the affected mage's paranoia to ridiculous levels. That's why these cases almost always end up in violence. If she was affected by Mage Blight, she shouldn't have looked anywhere near as calm as you're describing. You might be onto something, Mr. Cuthbert. If what you're saying is true, there has to be more to this. You're planning to defend her, aren't you? Well, there's the turnaround. We're defending the prosecutor. This is our Miles Edgeworth case. Merry Christmas, bang. At the very least, we need to find out what actually happened. I feel like there's more to this than we're seeing. Speaking of which, I'm already planning to expose Coffin Cuddles to all the memes as they come up. Like, as we go through the Phoenix Wright trilogy starting Wednesday, whenever we hit the right time, I'm going to be like, so this is a meme, this is a meme. Like, I can't wait to show her the updated autopsy report dance, because it's amazing. I feel like there's more to this than what we're seeing. You didn't see shit, you were asleep, so no kidding. But you saw her, right? Commander White, you need to put me in a holding cell. It needs to be one with an anti-magic field. What? I'm a danger to everyone here. We need to go now. She wanted them to arrest her. Right. It's as if she thought she was a danger to others. Well, she doesn't know any better. Again, prudent, if incorrect. Regardless of what really happened, she clearly believes that she was responsible for this. There's no way that she'd do something like this. Something else is happening here, and we will get to the bottom of it. We're just not sure where each of the murders occurred. The Inquisition should be able to tell us more about that. Triple murder! Damn! Just ran around going on a stabbing spree. We'll also need to speak with Steelwind. If she really was affected by Mage Blight, she should be able to remember what may have caused it. But anyways, the prayer room is the room we're most familiar with. We'll probably want to start there. No, we're pretty familiar with the other room that Lloyd was in, too. Can't wait to see his chalk outline. It's a stained glass window, a small ray of sunlight is shining through it. Rows upon rows of seats, thousands of people. Thousands! Damn.
Prepario Arcanum.
Just gonna check. Hey, you. Investigation. Still so many unknowns. We should continue looking for more clues. Don't push yourself too hard, okay? If you feel tired, don't be embarrassed to take a break. Yeah, I'll try not to exert myself too much. My guy, you literally just had like a 30-minute nap. Talk. Where do you think we should go next? What? Why are you asking me? I don't know, you're my Maya. I'm just trying to figure out where to go next. Well, don't ask me. Well, you're the attorney, I'm just the muscle. In the figurative sense. Right. He's been a bit on edge since she found us unconscious. Does she still feel guilty over leaving us alone? Regardless, I guess we'll ignore this for now. It said prayer room, so let's go prayer room. I imagine if we did try to go to the barracks, they would just say, oh, Steelwind's in for questioning, you can't talk to her right now. We arrive at the prayer room. It is now swarming with knights from the Inquisition. I can't wait to repair your arcane in this room. We find ourselves staring at the chalk outline of where Pierce's body once was. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. You can't help but feel a little uneasy. We've been to plenty of crime scenes before, but even if we were unconscious, we were here when the murder happened. Wasn't I joking last case that we always seem to be like 10 feet away from whatever murder happens? Like we're just there? Literally this time. Literally. It's a little unnerving now knowing how close we came to death. Are you okay? Yeah. So surely Eris is the murderer, right? Like we can just assume this. But now is not the time for an existential crisis. Steelwind's future counts on you figuring out what happened. We still don't know what happened after we fell unconscious. The Inquisition believes that Steelwind broke into this room, knocked out me and Pierce, and then killed him. But we remember it clearly. We saw Beatrice before we lost consciousness. There's more at play here than we realize. Celeste also fought Steelwind after Beatrice knocked you out. Yeah, I want to hear more about that. Maybe she could tell us more about how she was acting. Tell me. Actually, no, wait. We usually examine things. There are lanterns hanging around the room. They're still lit. Okay, good to know. 3 stained glass windows that look quite nice. Was I not able to examine anything here before? I don't think I was. There's a chalk outline where Pierce's body probably was. Looks like he was sitting against this altar when he died. And the blood stain seems to imply that the fatal wound came from his chest. An autopsy report would really be helpful here. We should ask the commander for a copy of it the next time we see him. that all I got? All right, well.
Repario Arcanum.
Well, this place is covered. That's a trace of necromancy on the ground here. It's probably from when I tried to heal you. Well, all right. Oh, there's a trace of transmutation here. It's all over the area around his body. Blue is illusion, right? Because that would make sense for Eris. There's illusion magic everywhere. Interesting. Did the murderer wound him using a transmutation spell? That's all we got? Well, the big one. Oh, it's conjuration. Whoops, never mind. So no illusion. There are traces of conjuration magic all over the room. Oh, is this the sleep spell? That must have been left by Beatrice's sleep spell. That makes sense. So these two are accounted for unless there's a special possible other cause, which is maybe being masked by this huge conjuration field. But the transmutation magic. I wonder what's up with that. Well, in the meantime, let's review what happened. Before Beatrice knocked me out, we heard a commotion outside and you went to investigate. Can you tell me more about your fight with Steelwind? What was she like? Well, she wasn't her usual self. It was like she was in some kind of daze. I noticed it even before she attacked me. Something was wrong with her. Oh yeah, and she didn't even respond to me when I tried to talk to her. It's like she didn't even recognize me. But from what Lord Asclepius said, she would have been acting more erratically if she were affected by Mage Blight. It's possible that you fought someone disguised as her. I guess that's possible. But whoever they were, their magic was still extremely powerful. And several members of the four pillar families were assembled here. It could have been one of them. We should speak with Commander White when we get the chance. The Grand Cathedral was closed from the public for whatever was happening here. God, you are thick, sir. They probably have a list of everyone who was present when the murders happened. Yeah, almost like a registry. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This means that whoever did this was one of the nobles that was here today. Or Eris. Beatrice can cast invisibility, so I doubt she'd let you see her. But did you see her at any point while you were fighting Steelwind? Celeste? Sorry, I don't know. I was too focused on staying alive. I've actually been meaning to ask you about that. Aren't you really strong? I've never even seen you break a sweat in a fight before. Well, she was really tough. It was terrifying, honestly. Again, Eris is very strong to the point where Celeste's instincts are to be very scared of her too, so it would make sense if it was Eris disguised, or possibly controlling. Again, maybe it was actually just Steelwind. It was mainly her magic. I've never fought someone with spells that powerful before. I want to hear this. I want to see this animation. When's the anime coming out? She didn't hurt you, did she? No, but it got pretty close. I think she realized that she couldn't beat me, so she just ran past me and into the prayer room. So her real target was Pierce, but why? Yeah, tell us more about this. Certainly you must have chased her. Did you see the moment she murdered Pierce? No. When I arrived at the prayer room, I saw you and Steelwind unconscious on the ground. And Pierce was already dead, so she just jumped over, stabbed him, and then Eris let go of control. And I'm assuming you didn't see Beatrice anywhere. No, she wasn't there when I arrived. How did she leave the prayer room without Celeste noticing? Also, if Beatrice knew invisibility, why would she let us see her? Did she turn herself invisible? Celeste's testimony. During the afternoon of the murder, Celeste McCoy heard a suspicious sound and investigated the hallway leading to the prayer room. There she saw Arya Steelwind fighting the guards there. Arya didn't respond to Celeste's questions and attacked her as well. The two fought to a standstill and Arya pushed past her. When Celeste arrived at the prayer room, she found Tyria and Arya unconscious. And Pierce was already dead. She didn't see Beatrice Frege at any point during the altercation. Good to hear. Timeline. We showed up at the prayer room for the meeting at 1:50 p.m. Then we interrogated Pierce for about half an hour. Really? Damn. That's when we heard that commotion outside and you went to investigate it. You guys talked for that long about nothing? Right. And I think Beatrice knocked me and Pierce out 10 minutes after that. How long did you fight Steelwind before she pushed past you? We definitely fought for a while. It must have been at least 20 minutes. Damn, epic fight outside. After that, she gave up on fighting me and ran into the prayer room. Which means that Beatrice somehow got into the room during your fight. That discounts my theory of her disguising herself as Steelwind. Fair enough. We regained consciousness at 3:12 p.m. That means we were knocked out for more than 40 minutes. There's still a lot of unknowns about what happened. We'll need all the pieces if we want to put this puzzle together. Anyways, it looks like we found everything we can here. We should move and take a closer look at the other crime scenes. Man, we don't do any of the investigating that Phoenix does. We just check the detect magic, ask a few questions, and we're gone. We don't find little clippings or jewelry or things in cracks or hair or nothing. It's just detect magic, cape, peace out. Probably useless there. Could go back here. Holy hell! How did Von Sanctus die? Did he just burn? Someone cast Fire 3 on this motherfucker. Holy hell! No longer the most boring room I've ever seen. In fact, quite the contrary. Suddenly very interesting. What about the horse? Okay, the horse is fine. Okay, hang on. Let's go back to here for a second. I can't imagine there are things. Okay, there aren't. Very interesting room. I would like to visit you. Yeah. What the balls? Look at this place. Man, Jan is going to refuse to clean this up. He's just going to take one look at, that's it, I quit. I'm going to go work at a pub or something. Fuck this noise. We retrace our footsteps and find the common room. That is a holy cow moment, Ice. You are not incorrect. This was the last place we saw Von Sanctus and Sybil before everything happened. Yeah, looking at this room, I believe everything happened. This is the room where everything happened. We look around and see that most of the room has been entirely scorched. We can still smell the scent of burnt cloth and flesh in the air. The pyro from Team Fortress 2 has been here. What happened here? What do you think happened here, Cuthbert? Was there some kind of fire? You could say that, yep. Yeah, we think the perp lit a fire using magic. As we enter the room, Commander White approaches us. He seems to be accompanied by the typical Legion of Knights. Commander White, hey kid. You investigating what happened too? Something like that. We just wanted to figure out what really happened. You and me both. Nothing about this case makes any damn sense. Well, what else is new? I'll be honest, I could really use your help in trying to figure this out. See, this guy's much more accommodating than Gumshoe. Honestly, we're not sure who we can trust at this point. The commander is leading the investigation, and he's bound to have information that will be useful to us. I still think Eris. Eris has got to be the, either it was Eris personally or Eris controlling Arya. And if it was Eris controlling Arya, how in the hell are we going to prove that? First of all, there's a chalk outline in the center of the room. This must be where they found Von Sanctus's body. There's even bits of ash there. It must be the burned fragments of the body. Are the diviners going to be able to address that? Scorch marks are all over the room. The fire must have spread pretty far. Yeah, it was probably going for a while. No one even noticed it until Prince Alaric told the Kingsguard that he saw smoke. Interesting. We should speak with him and see if he saw anything else. Dude, this room got filled with fire, and Von Sanctus did not make his saving throw. Even now, the sunlight is shining through the stained glass windows. It looks like the fire reached before it was put out. We're done here. Now this should be, this should cover the room.
Arcane.
Or just put all the dots over the place. Red! I'm not sure I'm familiar with red. Evocation. Oh, okay. Evocation is red? Evocation I thought was yellow. At the very least, evocation magic was present in the third case, and well, maybe the field was red. I don't know. I'd have to go back and check. I'm sure it's consistent. I'm probably wrong. There are traces of evocation magic in a bunch of different spots around the room. We think the perp threw a bunch of fire-based evocation spells around to start the fire. And the Kingsguard used a bunch of water-based evocation spells to put it out before the fire spread. Well then. That makes sense. With that knowledge in mind, there's nothing out of the ordinary here. Oh wait, there's a big white field. I didn't even see that. Perfect square, too. There's a trace of abjuration magic in the center of the room. That would be a Beatrice thing. Do the traces overlap with the body? Kind of. It's sort of square-shaped? Yeah, it's weird. It's a perfect square. I can't see the traces, but there also seems to be a square-shaped outline around the body. You're right! They overlap perfectly! These bastards cast black coffin on the poor guy. The area inside the square is a lot less burnt now that I look at it. Given how unusual the crime is, we're taking all the help we can get to solve this too. Yeah, exactly. As long as they trust us. I mean, they do seem to be trusting us awfully quickly considering they found us with one of the dead bodies, but I guess they recognize we couldn't have killed the other two, so fair enough. I'm not sure what this means yet, but it's definitely worth taking note of. There are traces of abjuration magic that form a perfect square around the body. The area within the square seems far less burnt, too. This kind of reminds me of the last case of Trials and Tribulations, where a square was dug out in the snow around that one tomb. Why would this square be here? Also, wait a minute. There's a trace of evocation magic near the body. I wonder if the murderer hit him with an evocation spell. Yeah, Tyrion was knocked out. Well, to be fair, Arya was knocked out by the time they found her, too. I guess we're done here? Alright. The murders. Tell me what you got. Ugh, this whole situation is a damn mess. Has the Inquisition found any clues to explain what happened? We only have the basic stuff so far. We've only just received the autopsy reports. Plural. That's still pretty useful. Do you have copies of them? Sure, knock yourself out. Sorry. I'd prefer not to. We've already done that today. Died at 2:45 p.m. in the prayer. Oh, we get exact times. Tyrion also isn't a mage. Fair point. Although, well, let's see what the autopsy reports say, because if everyone was stabbed... Oh, interesting. A shard of frozen liquid was found stabbed through his heart. That's how he murdered someone. I wonder if this room getting lit up like this was meant to mirror the murder of Justin Wayne. Because Justin Wayne fell in a vat of essentially evocation magic. I'm pretty sure it was evocation. And so this sort of approximates that, because this is how Garrick Pierce also stabbed Celeste's father. Cause of death was blood loss. A shard of frozen liquid was found stabbed through his heart. It's very likely this was the murder weapon. The wound also shows heavy traces of transmutation magic, and traces of conjuration magic were found throughout the room. I'm curious how the girl was killed then, because we know nothing about her. For all we know, she wasn't a murderer. But to be fair, she might have been. And speak of the devil, died at 12... Oh, died earlier! She died while we were still talking to Pierce. So, Arya was going on a rampage. Oh, that time when we saw her. Maybe the reason she was out of sorts wasn't because she was flustered or with Oster or whatever. Maybe it was because she was starting to get taken control of. Like whatever Eris or whoever was doing was just something that was starting to affect her. It wasn't an instant thing. I wonder. Died at 2:18 p.m. Cause of death was suffocation. Her body was found floating in a nearby lake. Gruesome. Outside of the Grand Cathedral, traces of transmutation, evocation, and necromancy magic were found on the body. Someone went to town on her. They choked her out and they cast a ton of stuff. Died at 2:05 p.m. He was first. I guess that makes sense, because we actually saw him get attacked. And then we saw Sybil get attacked. And then we caught up with our boys in the prayer room. And that's when the sleep spell was cast. So that timeline tracks. But this guy died shortly after we left him. No, wait. We were in the garden after we saw this guy. Died at 2:05 p.m. Cause of death was suffocation. So lack of air from all the burning. The fire in the common room burnt the body too much to discern any specific wounds he might have suffered. However, a small trace of evocation magic and a burn mark were found on the victim's left shoulder. The body was burnt, but you found a burnt mark on the shoulder? Weird. This implies the body was hit with a fire-based evocation spell. Traces of abjuration magic were found on and around the body. What abjuration spell? That's square. I joked about Black Coffin, which is a spell from Bleach. I think it's spell 99 or spell 100. But, again, approximating the vat. You know, the burning, the suffocation, the sort of death Justin Wayne would have suffered. I wonder if that's got something to do with it. Wait, Pierce was killed with a frozen blade. Yeah, I think Tyrion's about to pick up on what I was just saying. Isn't that similar to how he killed Flintheart? Yeah, Celeste was going to react to that, but we got to talk about it. Sorry, I didn't mean to... No, it's okay. It's still strange, though. Why would the murderer kill Pierce using such a convoluted method? If Steelwind really was affected by Mage Blight, she wouldn't have done something like that. Yeah, the Inquisition found a frozen blade impaling Garrick Pierce through his stomach. Where did the liquid come from, by the way? There were traces of transmutation on his blood. This implies that the murderer used shape liquid to create this blade and murder him, which is oddly similar to how Pierce murdered Flintheart McCoy. But why would the murderer do this when they clearly had more lethal spells at their disposal? Pierce used this method during Flintheart's murder to leave as little evidence as possible. However, it's clear the murderer wanted to frame Arya and leave as much evidence as possible. Anyway, the times of death also seem to tell a story. Yep, they sure do. If we look at the reports, the murderer must have killed Von Sanctus, then Sybil, then Pierce, in that order. Yeah, that's our working theory, too. Yeah, here we go. I said before, where are we going to find a body? Turns out half of these rooms have bodies in them. If we look at this map, we can see where the prayer room and the common room are. Lady Sybil's body was found in the lake west of here. But since the Grand Cathedral was built on a cliff, there isn't an easy way to get there in such a short amount of time. So that raises my next question. Why isn't the cliff in the damn map? How did Sybil's body end up in the lake? The murderer threw Sybil with a spell? Right now we're concerned with how Lady Sybil's body ended up in the lake that's west of the cathedral. Yes, and? The murderer couldn't have dragged her body there in such a short amount of time, but there's a far simpler explanation. The murderer hid, threw from the... threw Sybil completely. Sybil was completely thrown. No part of her was not thrown. Not inside of Vic. From the balcony? Okay. I would love to see this cliff on the map, if you please. This is a really dumb map. The Grand Cathedral was built on a cliff over the lake. Meanwhile, I'm just looking at rectangles. And the westward balcony just happens to be right over it. I will take your word for it, sir. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. We even had a witness who saw Steelwind there. Really? Who was that? Was that Alaric? It was High Speaker Theon Arcus. Okay, this is a person we have not yet run into. Is that going to be the dude guy? Is that going to be the guy that I thought was King Oliver? And I wonder how he's going to play in, because I guess he's not the defendant. Though I guess if they put Steelwind on the title card, it would have given away the game. High Speaker? He's the shot caller of the Church of Bahamut. And he stands at the top of the religious hierarchy, from what I hear. Oh, he's going to love us. He spotted Steelwind near the west balcony and noticed that she was acting suspiciously. He called out to her, but she ignored him. So she knew that he saw her, but she didn't attack him? Yeah, he really lucked out. But if she was having a psychotic episode, he would have noticed that. From what you said, all she did was ignore him. You're right. This whole Mage Blight story doesn't really add up. I wonder if Eris controlled Arya or if Beatrice did. Either way, we'll just have to talk with him directly to find out more. Putting that aside, there's something else that's strange. What's that? It's about the order that the murders occurred in. What's strange about the order of murders? The murderer killed Von Sanctus, Sybil, and Pierce in that order. That means that the murderer went to the common room, then the west balcony, and then finally the prayer room. But if we look at the map, the murderer's route seems a bit strange. What's strange about the order of the murders? Well, the only number I get in this thing is second, so I'm going to say this. No, there's a clear route between each of the rooms. Yep. The murderer would have traveled to the common room, then the balcony, then the prayer room. There's clearly a more direct path they could have taken. Exactly! What's strange about the order of the murders? Could have killed Von Sanctus second. This makes perfect sense. Sybil was first. Didn't have to be. I'm 99% certain what I'm thinking and saying is correct, but the game just wants me to word it. How about this? That's what's strange. Well, all of these are killed, so this has to be the murderer. What about this? La la la. That wording doesn't even make sense. Don't tell me it means Pierce. It couldn't be Pierce. What? Wait, what? Okay, I'm confused about the layout here, because common room, West Wing, they're on the right. I'm not following this. The murderer must have passed right by the prayer room before they dumped Sybil's body. How so? She was in the Oh, I'm an idiot. For some reason, I thought West was East. Alright, I'm a moron. Also, I don't know where this lake is because it's not on the map. If I could see things on the map, maybe I wouldn't make this screw up. Yes, of course, West Wing. Alright, that does seem a little more weird, yes. The murderer must have passed right by the prayer room before dumping Sybil's body. Why wouldn't they just murder Pierce on the way there? Maybe they wanted to dump Sybil's body first. Or they were afraid of fighting me. Aren't you giving yourself a little too much credit? Hey, you want to try, big guy? No, she has a point. Out of everyone who's fought the murderer, Celeste was the only one who didn't die or fall comatose. Anyways, there has to be a reason why the murderer deliberately chose that route. Alright, now I'll have that coffee. Now that I've remembered which way west is. Murderer's route has been added to our notes. Judging from each time of death, the murderer went from the common room to the balcony, which is to the west, and then to the prayer room in that order, but that wasn't the most direct route. There has to be an explanation for that. Okay, we've created a rough outline of the murderer's actions, but the real clues will lie in how each of the individual murders occurred. I can't wait to see the area where Sybil was attacked. She seems like she should be able to handle herself. And that starts with figuring out how Von Sanctus was murdered. They probably wanted to go after Steelwind, but then they saw the axe and they were like, no. No. Figuring out how Von Sanctus was murdered, because he was first. How were the murders discovered? Well, this one was obvious. We followed the plume of smoke. How did the Inquisition find out about the murders anyway? Did a witness come across the bodies? It all started when Prince Alaric ran up to us. He told us that he saw a fire breaking out in the common room. He also saw Steelwind there, but when he tried to talk to her, she hit him with some kind of spell. She attacked one of the princes? Yeah, and the 7-year-old at that. Damn. Yeah, but it didn't look like she hurt him. That guy from House Ecleptius suspected him, and he told us that he wasn't injured, so what'd she hit him with? I'm glad he's okay, but wouldn't Arya have used a more violent spell if she was being affected by Mage Blight? It's possible she was throwing spells randomly, and he just happened to get really lucky. I suppose that's possible. But wasn't there anyone else nearby when this happened? I would have expected a Prince of Wyvern to be under constant guard. Yeah, that was kind of my mistake. Yeah, my bad, sorry. I ordered the knights to give him some space considering what just happened. And that would be? Sorry, kid. If you don't know, it's not my place to tell you. It's gotta be the marriage, right? It's either the marriage or someone died, possibly even maybe even the king. Maybe the king died. And these people are here for the funeral. I mean, that's the only other thing I can think of besides a wedding. That would explain why Arya wasn't in some kind of dress. Of course, you'd expect everyone to be dressed in black too, so who knows. I have orders from the top to stay quiet about that. It might be a marriage. It might be the king passed away. That would be something else. It looks like we'll need to ask someone higher up. But Celeste also congratulated Arya, right? So I still feel like it's a wedding. We'll see. It's still strange, though. Why were all these nobles gathered here? Yeah. Anyway, whatever the perp hit him with, it only put him in a daze. He could barely walk or talk. He couldn't even approach us until one of the spells had worn off. And the weirdest about it all is that he was pretty close to where we were. But for some reason, we didn't find him until after the spell worn off. That must have been traumatic. I hope he's okay. But why didn't anyone see him during this time? Was he hit with the invisibility spell? After he told us about what was happening, we went to put out the fires. That's when we saw a bunch of guards knocked out outside the prayer room. Did you see me? No, this all happened around 3:10 p.m. Right, that was probably well after Steelwind moved into the prayer room. Celeste must have already followed her into it. The Inquisition discovered something was wrong when Alaric the Wyvern Guard reported that a fire had broken out in the common room. He also told them that Arya Steelwind cast a spell on him earlier that severely debilitated his senses. When the Inquisition arrived at the scene, they spotted the unconscious guards outside the prayer room. They did not see Celeste McCoy and Arya Steelwind. This all happened at 3:10 p.m. Comatose guards. When you arrested Steelwind, I remember you mentioning that a bunch of the guards were comatose. Did the murderer use some kind of spell to knock them out? I don't think so, and I'm just as lost as you are about that. No, I think she did, because we were affected by it. Some of the victims didn't have any magical traces on them, so we know that they're not under the effects of a spell, but they still haven't woken up. Damn, okay. Well, we certainly were, because it was a sleep spell. What could Eris do to facilitate that using her not magical powers? I bet she could... Well, to be fair, she actually went out of her way to cast sleep when she visited the headmaster, so maybe she can't do that. Although now that I mention that, I was joking about us not seeing the headmaster. I'm pretty sure Arya disposed of the headmaster. I don't recall if that ever came up in conversation, but it certainly seemed like that was implied from the last time we saw them interact. That's odd, to say the least. Is there any common thread between the knights who fell comatose? That might help us deduce what happened to them. Well, we found all of them at the locations where Steelwind was spotted. That can't be a coincidence. But he just admitted they weren't being affected by any kind of spell. What's going on here? Comatose knights. Several knights from the Kingsguard were found unconscious after the bodies were found. They've been unresponsive since the massacre. And due to a lack of magical traces, they are clearly not being affected by any kind of arcane spell. Interesting. What else you got? Commander White, you keep saying the perp instead of Steelwind, even though everyone else seems to think she was responsible for this. You also suspect that she's being framed? It just doesn't add up. If she did give herself Mage Blight, her actions wouldn't have been so deliberate. And she's definitely not the type of person to just go around murdering people. Even if she was, she's led a lot of the Inquisition's investigations recently. She's investigated plenty of homicides with us, and she knows exactly how we do things. Whoever did this got the job done, but they were sloppy about it. A bunch of witnesses saw her, and she didn't even try to hide herself using her magic. So either she had Mage Blight, which doesn't match up with her behavior, or she did this intentionally and wanted to get caught. Neither scenario makes any damn sense. Someone has to be framing her. That's the only reasonable explanation. Honestly, I'm not so sure about that either. What do you mean? You saw her when we arrested her, didn't you? She wanted us to lock her up. It's like she thought she was a danger to herself and others. Right. That's the same impression I got as well. If it weren't for the witnesses' statements, I'd be sure she gave herself Mage Blight. The strangest thing is that I've never seen her that scared before. Something really rattled her about what happened. Yeah, again, it's consistent with those cases we heard about before. Beatrice Fraga, still a problem. Even after putting the smackdown on her last chapter. Did you follow up on what I said about Beatrice? I know she was in that room when Pierce and I fell unconscious. She has to be involved in this somehow. Well, she's already in prison, so we're already ahead on that account. But when we asked her what happened, she said that she couldn't remember anything. That's convenient. That's such an obvious lie. She has to be hiding something. Oh, now you spot the obvious lies. Normally I'd agree with you, but she's not the only one with missing memories. Steelwind also can't remember anything. What? Looks like we'll have to speak with her about that. Anyways, what about Eris and that knight who was guarding her? Yeah, what about Eris? Did they see anything? Celeste doesn't even want to talk about that. Sorry, kid, but Eris Ilmater has been missing since everything went down. Oh! Well, that is very interesting. But not unexpected. Eris Ilmater has been missing since everything went down. What? You have any idea what happened to her? Nope. But I wouldn't be too worried. What? A witness to the crime is missing and possibly hurt. Look, kid, you may be a hotshot attorney, but I've been in this business a lot longer than you have. Sometimes when these things happen to civilians, they get spooked and run away. I've seen it a million times. We feel like he's not making a big as deal of this as he should be. But he might have a point. No, Eris is not going to spook. Eris is the daughter of a crime lord, after all, and she might have gone into hiding to avoid having to speak with law enforcement. We don't have the resources to look for her, but I'm sure she'll turn up eventually. Well, I suppose we can't do anything about that now. I would say that she's using illusion to hide as someone else, but we're casting Reparo Arcanium whatever on everything, and we would notice illusions, so I don't know. Well, I suppose we can't do anything about that now, but I still hope she's okay. Anyway, what about the knight guarding Beatrice? Surely he didn't go missing as well. That's the thing. The knight who was supposed to be watching her is one of the people who went comatose. We found him in front of the prayer room, too. Damn it. What happened to him? To make matters worse, that Frega chick knows how to cast invisibility. So even if she was telling the truth, very few people would have actually seen her. But her guard was in front of the prayer room. She must have brought him there somehow. Updated. We saw Beatrice, blah blah blah. A knight was assigned to guard her and kill her if Marinoth attempted to escape. How would you know? Well, I guess she didn't cast invisibility on him that time. He's just chilling at the front entrance, just being a demon. Plain sight. Maybe they kept a bag over him. He was later found comatose in front of the prayer room. Eris Ilmater, who was also with Beatrice when she disappeared, has been missing since the massacre. That's a curious one. Anyways, would you happen to have a recent version of her spell compendium? Sure, we already have it on record. This is going to be huge. That's a fair bit. Necrotic Blight, damn, sleep, understandable. Invisibility, feign death? Spell compendium has been added to notes. Are we going to add every single individual spell? We sure are. Familial Bond, nothing new there. Blah, blah, blah. We know this one. Mend Wounds. Blah, blah, blah. We know this one. Send Message. We are aware of this. Animate Corpse. Yes, this is something we're familiar with from the second case. Also this. Invisibility, we have already dealt with. Feign Death. This is a new one. Maybe, possibly. Actually, I think it is. The caster must target a creature that's already unconscious. While they concentrate on this spell, the target will appear to be dead, the target creature will stop breathing, their heart will stop beating, however the life energies of the spell will keep them alive for the duration. Well, I don't think that's going to apply to Pierce or Von Sanctus. It could apply to Sybil. Interesting. Illusory Disguise, we know about this. I forgot how many spells she knew how to cast. Celeste knows more. The first victim, Lloyd Von Sanctus. It's all a little difficult to take in. I still can't believe it. After everything he did, Von Sanctus was just murdered. I'm surprised to hear that from you. Didn't he basically get away with offing Justin Wayne? The way I see it, he got what he deserved. That still doesn't sit right with me. No matter who the victims might have been, no one deserves to die like that. You're definitely a bigger man than I am. Anyway, Von Sanctus's autopsy report says he died of suffocation. We think the murderer overpowered him and choked him with a rope or something. Oh, so he didn't asphyxiate. He was literally choked out. That hardly sounds like something someone would do during a psychotic episode. Yeah, the more info I get, the more I think you might be onto something. But either way, the fire that the perp started in this room burned his body, so that was just like extra. It didn't completely turn into ash, but it was still pretty charred. So that fire would have burnt away any evidence of the minor wounds he had. Yeah, we're lucky we even discerned he was hit with an evocation spell. Right, the autopsy report mentioned that too. But if a fire was started, is it possible that he died from smoke inhalation? Yeah, that's what I suspected. No, the divination spells we use always identify smoke inhalation as death by poisoning, not death by suffocation. Alright, fair. I suppose that kind of makes sense. But it's still a shame we can't find out how the murderer suffocated him. Spell compendiums. Give me them all. We still know very little about how the murders occurred. You have records of each of the victims' spell compendiums. They might help us understand what each of the victims was doing during the attack. Ah, that's a hell of a stretch. Sure, knock yourselves out. Stop telling me to do that! We've already done that once today. You're just tempting fate. Garrick Pierce's spell compendium has not changed. It's the exact same crap. Alright, how about you? Slow Fall, Foresight, Strike True, Detect Magic, and Stone Skin. Interesting. And your full spell compendium, Mage... Oh, you also know Mage Blade. Force Cage. Force Cage! Maybe he created a cage around himself to try to protect himself. Send message, mend wounds. And now we're going to add all of them. Oh, this is going to be hell. We're going to have 30 spells in our spell list and be like, what the hell was used what when? Prestidigitation hasn't come into play yet. The caster creates a simple and harmless visual effect around their hand. The effect will last as long as they maintain concentration. Conjure Light, we know about this. Conjure Water, we know about that. Frost Wave. This, Force Cage, okay. For the duration, the caster creates a magical 10 by 10 by 10 foot cube around a target within 30 feet of them. The walls of this cube are impenetrable and can't be destroyed by anything, not even by spells that can normally dispel spell effects. Furthermore, any attempts to magically teleport into or out of the cube will fail. If there's more than one creature in the target space, they will be pushed away from the center of the cube. Huh. So I feel like he probably cast this to protect himself, and that explains the square on the floor, because it is abjuration magic. Mage Blade! We know about this. Slow Fall. I wonder if she jumped off the no. Maybe... Actually, no. Where was she killed? Was she killed near the common room and then carried to the west balcony? Why bother? The caster counteracts the force of gravity affecting them, causing them to fall significantly slower when airborne for the duration, because she was thrown off the cliff. Foresight! Well, this didn't help you. The caster invokes the ultimate form of divination magic to see brief glimpses of the near future. While the spell is active, the caster is able to sense danger seconds before it actually happens. Again, didn't help you, did it? Strike True. The caster increases their ability to predict the results of all their actions for the duration. This is useful for the purposes of aiming or doing other activities that rely on dexterity and skill. Interesting. Non-optimal. Yes, apparently it was. Detect magic. Oh, we get an actual list for this. And we get the colors! Look at the colors! They list the colors for us. Yay! Alright, hang on a second here. Okay, when concentrating, the caster can see the normal and visible magical traces left by magic. Magical traces are created 2 times when a spell is cast. The first is created at the position of the caster. The second is created when the spell effect resolves or dissipates. The caster can identify the school of magic of any trace by color. Necromancy was purple, okay. So, created at the position of the caster when the spell is cast. That's one trace, and then the other trace is when it stops. Stone Skin also didn't help you. Thick layer of stone around their body. Alright. Yeah, okay, wow. That's a lot to work through. I agree. Yep, this is what happens when a bunch of mages are caught in the middle of a murder. Honestly, you've been lucky until now. Apparently so. Nevertheless, I'll need to look over each of these spells when they become relevant. We think we found everything we can related to Von Sanctus's murder. Perhaps we should move somewhere else. Alright, where is this? Yeah, here. Look at that. Look at that, traces of stuff.